Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4. So that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7. So we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. So with this question, we need to first of all count how many sides this polygon has. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 sides. And we just need to know that a 10-sided shape is a decagon. Now we are expected to know all of the names of shapes between 3 and 10 sides, so if you don't know them already, just sit down and learn them. There are 10 squares in total, so each square is worth 1/10. And if we count all of the shaded squares, we notice that in total there are 7 shaded squares, so that's 7 lots of 1/10 or 7/10. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. To find the factors of 30, we're just going to write down all the factor pairs or all the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 30. So 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Now 4 doesn't go because 30 is not in the 4 times table. 5 times 6, and we notice that if we pick 6, it's just going to be 6 times 5, it's just going to be the opposite. So the factors are all the numbers that we've just written down, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. This question's all about like terms. So what we can do is we can add this 10u with this 11u to make 21u. We can also add this 6v with this plus 4v to make 10v. We can also add this 10w to this minus 6w, so 10 take away 6 is 4w, so plus 4w. But we can't add a u term to a v term to a w term, so we have to just leave them be. So our answer is 21u plus 10v plus 4w, but we can multiply them, we just can't add or subtract them. So 55% is the same as 55 over 100. And what I can do is I can divide top one of the fraction by 5. And so that is going to equal 11 over 20. Now in total there are 20 squares here because there's 5 across and 4 down. 5 times 4 is 20. And if there's 20 squares and we're looking to shade in 11/20ths, it's just going to be 11 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If we write in how many sides each shape has, triangle has 3, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, hexagon 6, you'll notice the number of vertices is twice the amount of each of them. So if a shape has 15 sides, we just times that by 2 and it will have 30 vertices. If you imagine these numbers written out as a list, there would be 5 lots of zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be 9 lots of 1, so 1, 1, etc., etc. Okay, so when we're looking to see the total number of goals scored in the season, we could write them out as a list and then add them up, but a quicker way of doing that is just multiplying the amount of goals by the frequency. So we've got 5 lots of 0 goals, which will just be 0, 9 lots of 1 goal, so that's just 9, 4 lots of 2 goals, so that's 8, 6 lots of 3 goals, that's 18, and then 6 lots of 4 goals, that's 24. So all we need to do now is add up the 0, 9, 8, 18 and 24, which brings us to 59. So there were 59 goals scored. The first thing to do when working out what angle things need to be on a pie chart is to add up the frequencies. So we're going to do 14 plus 7 plus 3, and we find out that that's 24. Then we're going to find the angle that one item would be. So one item is going to be, well, there are 360 degrees in a triangle, and there are 24 items. So we're going to do 360 divided by 24, and that gives us 15 degrees. So each item is worth 15 degrees, or will take up 15 degrees. So to find out the angle for red, well, we've got 14 items, times it by 15, and that will give us 210 degrees. And we're just going to times each of these by 15, which would be 105, and the final one times 15 is 45 degrees. Add them up and they add up to 360, which is good. They need to add up to 360. So we got our protractor, rest it on the pie chart. Now we know 180 is down here, so the first thing we're going to do is just mark that on, because the first angle is going to be 210, so we know that's 180 so far, so I'm going to turn my protractor around, and from 180, 210 will be another 30, so I'm just going to plot that on, and then I'm going to join it up. So start at the center and join that up, and we're going to stop when the circle stops. Then to do 105, we're going to put our protractor in the middle, and we're going to look at 105, which will be up here. And then we're just going to join it up with a straight line. And then we're just going to check the last angle. And so if I put my protractor on it, and it is 45 degrees. Perfect. Now, an important step to not miss is you need to label them. And so the first one is red, the second one is blue, and then the final one is other. We could write an expression for the cost of 6 pencils and 13 rulers. The cost will be 6, and then let's call the cost of a pencil P, plus 13R, and let's call the cost of a ruler R. And let's actually make this an equation. So cost is equal to that. A pencil costs 50p, so it's 6 times 50 plus, and a ruler costs 40p, so it's 13 times 40. So 6 times 50 is 300, 13 times 40 is 520. Add those together and you get 820. So that's £8.20, but it does ask it, or it implies that the answer should be in pence, so it's 820 pence. Okay, first of all we need to work out what the interior angles would add up to. So the sum of the interior angles is equal to n minus 2 times 180. Now n is the amount of sides, but it says it has 5 sides, so it would be 5 take away 2, which is 3, and then times 180, which would be 540. So we know it will add up to 540. So all we need to do is get that 540 and take away all the angles that we know. So the 118, the 84, the 108, and the 151. And when you do that, you get the answer of 79. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. So we're going to start by writing 5 over 9 as a decimal. And to do that, we just need to do 5 divided by 9, which will be 0.5 recurring. And to convert between a decimal and a percentage, we just times by 100. So we're going to get that 0.5 recurring, and we're going to times it by 100, and that will equal 55.555 recurring. And to the nearest percent, that's going to be 56, because that 5 will move that 5 up by 1. To answer this question, we basically need to find the lowest common multiple of the 10 minutes here and the 15 minutes here. So we're going to start off just by doing the 10 and 15 times table. So it'd be 10, 20, 30, and 15 times table with 15 and 30. So the lowest common multiple is 30. So after half an hour, these buses will sync up. They'll both leave at the same time. And all buses start service at 9 o'clock. So it will be half an hour after 9 o'clock, which will be 9:30. First thing I'm going to do is just copy down this diagram to the side here, just so we can kind of see what's going on a little bit more. Just extend this a bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is convert the measurements here into centimetres. So we've got 3,000, 5,000, 1,000, and we've got 6,000. And then I'm going to look at this scale here. Now this says that 1,000 in real life is 1 on our scale drawing. So this is just going to be 3 centimetres divided by 1,000. This is going to be 5 centimetres, 1 centimetre, and 6 centimetres. And then let's draw the diagram. So I'll do 3 centimetres. This is going to be 5, and so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 1 across here. And I'm going to do the left hand one, so 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just join them up as it shows on the diagram. And there we go. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. Denver gets 8/19, that means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9 to 5. And let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are all together. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11/19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11/19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts. So Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy, and when I do that I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent, and it wants it rounded to the nearest percent, so that would be 20%. Or actually it would be 21%, because this would round it up, so 21%. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimeters. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimeters. And we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimeters. Now, looking at the first two sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimeters plus 37 centimeters, is 56 centimeters. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimeters. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the two lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. So for this question, we just need to pick one of the coordinates. I'm just going to pick this one here. And we just need to work out what the coordinates are. Well, it's going up in 2, so it's going to be 4 on this side. And this is kind of 4.5, so that's going to be 19 there. So we know it's 19 at the bottom and 4 at the side here. So we're going to have a look on our table for a 4 and a 19. We've got a 19 and 23 here. It's got to be a 4 and a 19, which is here. And it shows that the 4 is for paper 1 and the 19 is for paper 2. So our answer will just be paper 2. So to simplify 10 to 22 to 26, I'm going to have to find something that I can divide the 10, the 22 and the 26 by. The biggest number I can do that for is 2. So if you look, 10 can be divided by 5 but nothing else can, 22 can be divided by 11 but nothing else can, and 26 by 13 but nothing else can. The only thing we can divide all of them by is 2. So that will be 5 to 11 to 13. So the answer is 5 to 11 to 13. So we're asked to reflect this shape along the line y equals x, and y equals x is a diagonal line where all the x values are equal to the y values. So at the bottom here we've got x is 10 and y is 10, so that coordinate would be 10, 10. And then obviously this coordinate 4, 4, etc. So we need to reflect it across this line. And so if I pick a point, I'm going to pick the top one. We can see it goes 4 diagonals to hit that line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will go another 4 diagonals. So that will be one of the coordinates there. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. So it will be there. And then finally, I'm going to do this slightly harder one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of goes over the other one, ends up here. So if we join these up, and we need to label it B. For this question, it's really useful to label angles that you know on the diagram, even if you can't go straight to the answer. So I know that if I extend this line here, but let's do a bit of a better job of that. So if I extend this line here, the north line, then I can work out what this angle is, because it's going to be the same as this angle here. And the reason is it's Z angles, which are alternate angles. So I know that this angle is 35 degrees because of alternate angles. The question asks to find the bearing of C from B. So we're at B and we're finding the angle that C makes from north going clockwise. Well, it's going to be this angle here we're looking for. And if we look, we already know what this side is, which is 180 degrees because it's a straight line. We've got the 35 degrees there, and we've got the 21 degrees. So it's going to be 180 plus 21 plus 35. It doesn't matter which order we add them, which will equal 236 degrees. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on, because 5 bus stops with X passengers, so that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got X on both sides, so we look at the X's. We've got 12X and 6X, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6X both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got X is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for X? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says X has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now, factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. Put all my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2. And the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. There's an awful lot going on in this question. Whenever there's an awful lot going on, it's always best to draw a diagram. So we're going to start off at Chelton, which is a C. Then we go to Bolko, that's where we're going. And we go through Devley on the way. So we'll do D there. Distance from Chelton to Devley is 34 miles. Distance from Devley to Bovlo is 16 miles. So I'm just reading through the question, adding it to my diagram. David leaves Chelton at 9 o'clock. He drives from Chelton to Devley an average speed of 68 miles per hour. And what speed does David travel between Devley and Bolko to arrive at 9:45? So the whole duration of this, the whole thing needs to be 45 minutes or 0.75 hours. And the entire distance is 34 plus 16, so that would be 50 miles. Okay, now having a look at this, we need to find out what time David was at Devley. So we're going to use our speed, distance, time triangle. So speed equals distance over time. And we're covering up the time, because that's the one we want. So it's going to be time equals distance, which is 34, over speed, which is 68. So we're going to do 34 divided by 68, which is 0.5. So it would be 0.5 hours. So that would be half an hour. So we will be at Devley at 9:30. So that means we've got 15 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes to travel the 16 miles. So this time we're looking for the speed. Okay, so it would be speed equals the distance, which is 16 miles, over time, which is 15 minutes, but we need that in hours, so that would be 0.25 hours. And so what we can do here is times top 1 by 4 to get rid of the fraction. So it becomes 64 over 1, or just 64 miles per hour. So our answer is 64 miles per hour. So we're asked to find angle BCE, and that is going to be this one here, because you start at B, go to C, and then go to E, and it's the angle you make. And I might just choose a different colour, because we've already got red on here. So we're looking for this angle here. Now, my advice for these kind of questions is always just try and work your way around the shape with angles you know. So, for instance, I'm going to start with this angle here. I'm going to call this angle ADC. And we know that that must be 79 degrees. And always write down the reason. And we know it is because that is an isosceles triangle. So if you look, we've got an isosceles here, this one, and this one. And the bottom two angles, and I use the word bottom because I always imagine an isosceles as being this way up. The bottom two angles in an isosceles are always equal, so that must be 79. Now we've got two of the three angles in the triangle, and the last one is going to be angle DCA. And to work out what this angle is, we're going to take it away from 180. So we're going to do 180, take away the 279s we've just worked out. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. Okay, so when we do that, we do 180, take away the 158, and we're left with 22 degrees. So we know that this is going to be 22 degrees. And now we can actually work out angle BCE because it's going to equal angle DCA. And the reason for that is they are vertically opposite angles. So that's just going to equal 22 degrees. Now, it is really common for these types of questions for you to get maybe 1 or even 2 marks for the answer, but 1 or 2 marks normally for the reasons and for the explanations. In fact, I've seen quite a few exam questions where you get 2 marks for the reasons and only 1 mark for the answer. The important thing to realise in this question is that we know a female has been selected. So we can just basically get rid of all of this part of the frequency tree because it's not relevant, because we know a female has been selected. So there's 29 females altogether, and we're looking for the probability that the female chosen at random picked action. So it's just simply 16 over 29. So let's look through this question to see what information we're given and what information we're looking for. So we're given the acceleration is 13 meters per second squared. We're also given the distance is 19. And we're also given the end velocity, which is v, is 34. And we're looking for the initial velocity. So which of these formulae include A, S, V, and U? That's got a T in it, that's got a T in it, so it's going to be this one here. So let's write that out. V squared equals U squared plus 2AS. So that would be 34 squared equals U squared, because that's what the one we're looking for, plus 2 times 13 times 19. Okay, so let's just work these parts out. And so we've got 2 times 13 times 19, which is what, 494. And it turns into a solving part, so we're just going to solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 494 from both sides. And so we're left with 662 equals U squared. Then we're just going to square root both sides. And so square root of that is going to be 25.729 blah blah blah. And it says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 25.73. So the first thing we're going to do is work out the area of the trapezium. And the formula for that is half brackets A plus B times H. Now A and B have to be the parallel sides. So here we've got the 2 parallel sides here. Just pick a different colour. Here and here. So that is A and B. And then the H is the perpendicular distance between them. So perpendicular means it hits it at right angles, so that's what we've got here. So the area would be half times A, which is 28, plus B, which is 14, times the height, which is 14. And so that would be 294. Next we'll do the circle. Now it doesn't look like we've got anything for the circle, but actually the height here is actually the height of the circle as well. So the height of the circle is the same as the diameter. So the diameter of the circle is 14. Therefore the radius would be half of that, which is 7. And the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So it would be pi times 7 squared, which will be 153.938 blah blah blah. Now keep that in my calculator, because next thing we'll do is the shaded area part, and it says we want to work out the area of the shaded region. So the area will be the total area, which will be the trapezium, take away the area that we don't want, which is this bit here, which will be the circle. So the trapezium's 294, the circle's 153.93, blah blah blah. And when you do that, you get 140.061, blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it would be 140.06. So to find the gradient, we need the formula or the equation in the form y equals mx plus c. And the m there will give us what the gradient is. So we're just going to be rearranging this equation. And so I'll get my lines in. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the x's from the left hand side, and we can do that by adding 6x both sides. So we've got 6y equals, and I'm going to put the 6x first, just to match the y equals mx plus c. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this 6, because we just want a y there. So we're going to divide by 6 both sides. So we've got y equals 1x plus 36. Now we shouldn't really write 1, but because we're looking for m, we're looking for the number before x, I've kind of left it in there to show that the gradient will be 1. To convert from meters to centimeters, we times by 100. But here we're asked to convert between meters cubed and centimeters cubed. So we times it by 100 per dimension. Meters cubed and centimeters cubed is volume, which is 3 dimensions. So what we do is we times it by 100 3 times, times 100, times 100, times 100, or times by 100 cubed. So we get our amount, 0.15, times it by 100 cubed, and that will give us 150,000. So our answer is 150,000 centimeters cubed. So angles on a point add up to 360, and we are given the values of the angles, but in terms of r. So we know that r plus 9r plus 20 will equal 360. So we've got an equation here we can solve. So first of all, let's add the r's together, and so that will be 10r plus 20 equals 360. Then we're going to subtract the 20 from both sides. So we have 10r equals 340. And then we're going to divide by 10 both sides. So we have r equals 34. So our answer is 34. So we're going to first of all work out the curved surface area, which is just this bit here, not including the top and bottom. And the formula for that is 2 pi r h. And the h is this bit here, so it's 2 times pi times the radius at the top, which is 12, times the height, which is 19. And that gives us 1432.566, blah, blah, blah. Next we go work out the area of the circle at the top. So circle area. And the formula for that is just pi r squared. So pi times 12 squared, which will give us 452.389, blah, blah, blah. Now there are actually 2 circles, so when we work out the total surface area, so total surface area, we add the curved surface area to 2 lots of the circle surface area, or areas of the circle, because there's 1 circle at the top and 1 at the bottom, and that gives us 2,337.344, blah blah blah, and 2 decimal places, that is 2,337.34. We know all lines follow the y equals mx plus c if they're linear, and we know that m is the gradient, so the coefficient, the number before the x is the gradient, and the number on its own at the end is the y-intercept. So looking at this equation, the y-intercept will be plus 5 because that's the number on its own at the end. So we're going to plot that straight away because we know it's going to be at 5. So it's going to be there. We also know that the coefficient of the x is minus 2. Now what that gradient means is for every 1 we go to the right, we're going to go down 2. So if we go 1 to the right, it's going to be down 2 from the 5, or down 2 from the 5 will be 3. And then if it goes another 1 to the right, it will go down another 2. So that would be 1. So it would be at 3, and then at 1. And so if we draw that in, draw the full line in, we need to make sure we do it for the full graph, so make sure you have all the points. It should look something like this. So we're going to start by understanding that all lines form or can form an equation y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. It says here the gradient is minus 2, so we've already got a bit of a head start with this, but we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we're going to use this first set of coordinates to work out what the y-intercept is. So y is minus 31 and x is 15. And we're going to use this to solve and find out what c is. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, just tidy this up. 2 times 15 is 30, so minus 30 plus c. And I'm just going to add 30 to both sides to get c on its own. So that would be minus 1 equals c. So c is minus 1. So we now know that the equation is y equals minus 2x minus 1. And we're told that the y is minus 37. And we're looking for the x value, which they've called w. So let's get our solving lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. And so it would be minus 36 equals minus 2x. I'm going to now times, or divide everything by minus 2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And then obviously that gets rid of the coefficient of the x, so it's just x. So x equals 18. So the x value is 18 and the x value is the w value. So w is 18. Factorising is the opposite of expanding. With expanding we're multiplying out a bracket. With factorising we're putting something in a bracket. So I'm going to start by just putting the bracket down. Now I need to ask myself, what number can I divide out of 3x squared and 5x? Well, there's not going to be a number I can divide out, but they both have at least an x. X squared obviously is x times x, and x is just on its own for the 5x. So we're going to divide out the x. So I need to ask myself, what times x is going to be 3x squared? Well, obviously 3x. And then we ask ourselves, what times x is 5x? Well, that's just going to be 5. And if you were to expand that set of brackets, you will get 3x squared plus 5x. So we know it's the correct one. And so our answer will be x brackets 3x plus 5. So we're looking for the acceleration between 3 and 5 seconds. And acceleration is calculated by the change in velocity. So we're going to see how much the velocity's changed. So it started at 90 and it's gone up to 200, so that would be 110, over the time. Now the time is 2 seconds, so it's going to be 110 divided by 2, which is 55, and the units will be the meters per second, because that's kilometers, sorry, that's velocity, per second, or meters per second squared. And so it's 55 meters per second squared. To find the resultant vector, we just get the two vectors and we add the tops and add the bottoms. And it's a plus minus 13, so it's 9 take away 13. When we do that, we get 13 at the top and minus 4 at the bottom. So we're going to start by doing a grid, a multiplication grid, and we're going to start by putting 2x plus 11 at the top and 5x plus 3 down the side. And we're going to multiply them out, so 5 times 2 is 10, so it would be 10x squared. 5x times 11, so 5 times 11 is 55, so it would be 55x, and it's positive. And 3 times 2 is 6, so it would be 6x, and that's positive. And 3 times 11 is 33, and that would be a positive. So when we put them all together, we get 10x squared plus 55x plus 6x plus 33. You can see that the x terms are like terms, so we can add them together. So we get 10x squared plus 61x plus 33. So our answer will be 10x squared plus 61x plus 33. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism, and it's a trapezium based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross section or area of the trapezium times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now a and b are the two parallel sides, which will be this one and this one, and then the h is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees. So what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5 times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything, for this, will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute, so it would be 50 minutes. We're told here that y is proportional or inversely proportional to x, so we put 1 over x because it's inversely, and inversely means it's going to be proportional to 1 over. I'm going to replace that proportionality sign for an equals, and to do that we need to multiply the right hand side by k, so it becomes k over x. And we're told that x is 7.9 when y is 10.27, so we're just going to substitute those both in so that we can find out what k is, what our constant is. I'll do a bit of simple solving by multiplying both sides by 7.9. When I do that, I get that k is 10.4. Go rewrite our equation we wrote here, but this time with our k value in, which is 10.4. And we're asked to find out what y is when x is 8. So we just do 10.4 divided by 8. And when we do that, we get 1.3. So we're asked to express TQ in terms of P and Q. Well, we've got another Q here, because all of these are congruent parallelograms. And we have a P there. So if we're starting at T and getting to Q, we can go along this path here and down this path here. So we're going backwards down Q, in fact backwards down 2 lots of Q, and then the correct way down P. So it's either minus 2Q plus P or P minus 2Q. There are a few different ways you could answer this question. I'm going to do it with a tree diagram, but you didn't need to draw a tree diagram to answer this question. So we've got our first tree, which is our first bus. And the choices are male and female. And we've got our second kind of branch, I suppose. And it's still male and female. And this is our second bus. So the property of male on a first bus is 9/15. And therefore the property of female is 1 minus 9/15, which would be 6/15. Male on the second bus is 7/15. And so female would be 8/15, because they need to add up to 1. And it's independent, so these will be the same. And the question is basically asking what is the probability that both will be female. So to have both female, we need to have gone down this line at the start and then this line again. Okay, so looking at the fractions along the way, it's 6/15 and 8/15. The word "and" in probability means times. So whenever you're finding the probability of getting to an outcome, so this outcome would be FF, because they're both female, you are multiplying the fractions that you go across. So it would be 6/15 times 8/15. So 6 times 8 is 48. And times the bottoms, 15 times 15 is 225. Now you can actually cancel that down. So what you can do is you can divide top and bottom by 4. And that will give you 16. Is it 4? No. You can divide top and bottom by 3. And that would be 16/75. So either 48/225 or 16/75. So the first term will be 50 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 is just itself, so that will just be 50. The next one will be 50 squared. So that's going to be 50 times 50, which would be 5 times 5 times 10 times 10. 25 times 100, which would be 250. 2,500 even. And then last one is 50 cubed. So that's going to be the 2,500 times 50 again. And so when you times that out, you get 125,000. So there are 3 parts that we need to find the area of. We're going to start with the easiest bit first, this circle at the bottom here. Okay, so the circle area is just going to be pi times r squared. And the radius is given to us at the top, which is 9. So it's just going to be pi times 9 squared. And that would be 254.469 blah blah blah. Or we could leave it as 81 pi. Next bit is the curved bit of the cylinder. So we're going to do the cylinder next. And it's just the curved bit, and the formula for that is 2 pi r h. So 2 times pi times the radius, which is 9, times the height, which is 30. And that will give us 1696.460 blah blah blah. And the last bit is this hemisphere here. And so let's do the hemisphere. And the formula for the area of a hemisphere, well, this full sphere is 4 times pi times r squared, but because it's a hemisphere, it's half of that. And so it'd be half times 4 times pi times the 9 squared, and that will give us 508.938. And so the final thing is to work out the total area, so total surface area. And we're just going to add up all these numbers together. So we add up the 254.469, the 1696.460, blah, 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 and the 508.938, blah, 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 blah. And we get 2,459.867, blah, blah, blah. Do make sure you show the examiner that you're adding these three here. I've not done that because it wastes a bit of time for a video, but make sure you write it down. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 2,459.87 centimeters squared. So this question will probably need a Venn diagram just to make it a bit easier. So I'm going to draw a Venn diagram. You don't need to. If you can work out how to do this question without, you can do, but I think this is a really tricky question to do without a Venn diagram. So it says that they picked two activities. It was either painting, which I'll put as a P, and sport, which I'll put as an S. So let's start filling in the information it gives us. So 11 picked painting and sport, so that will go in the middle, because that is painting and sport, and 11 didn't pick painting or sport, so they can sit on the outside. Now here's the problem. It says twice as many people picked sport than painting as one of their activities. So it's saying that the total number in, and let's just show it, the total number in the sport circle is twice as big as the total number in the painting circle. Now, what we can do is we can say, okay, so if the painting we label as X, then the sport will be 2X. But if you look, we've already got a number already in the sport, that 11 there. So in algebra, this will be 2x, take away the 11 that we already know about. And the painting is the same. We know the whole thing is x. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take away the bit we know there, which is the 11, and it will be x minus 11. Now we know that there are 66 students in total. So what we can do now is add up all of the parts of the Venn diagram and get it equal to 66. So x minus 11 plus 11 plus 2x minus 11 plus 11, and all of that will equal 66. This is going to be some solving, so we're just going to put our lines in. Now here we've got x plus 2x, which is 3x. And if I put my tool right, there we are. And we've got minus 11 plus 11, minus 11 plus 11. Well, those just cancel out. So we're left with just the 3x equals, and then 66. We're going to divide that 3 both sides. So we've got x equals 22. So if we go back to our Venn diagram now, we can fill in the blanks. So instead of x minus 11 there, we've got 22 take away 11, which is just 11. Instead of 2x minus 11 there, we've got 22 times 2, which is 44, take away 11, which will be 33. So it says, find the amount that picked sport and not painting, which is this 33 here. So this says, find the probability of A or B. Now A or B means it can be in A, it can be in B, or it can be in both. So we add the 5, the 3 and the 12 together, and that gives us 20, and put that over the total amount. So that is these 3 added together, which is 20, plus the one outside here, which is 30. 20 over 30 is the same as 2 over 3. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.